Imagine your school has a student council. Now what if instead of one council making decisions, there were two? One group would propose a rule, like Taco Tuesday in the cafeteria, and then a second, separate group would have to debate and approve the exact same rule. If they disagreed on any part, say the second group wanted Burrito Tuesday, the whole idea might get stuck in a backroom argument and never happen. This is basically how most governments work in the United States. They have a bicameral or two-house system, but not Nebraska. Nebraska is the rebel, the lone wolf, the only state in the entire country with a unicameral or one-house legislature. It's a political experiment that has been running successfully for nearly a century. So what does this actually mean? Instead of a House of Representatives and a Senate, Nebraska just has the legislature. That's it. It's made up of only 49 members called senators, making it the smallest state legislature in America. Think about that. In a state with nearly 2 million people, just 49 individuals are directly responsible for crafting every single state law. This small size is designed to make government feel closer and more accessible to the people it serves. It's easier to know who your representative is when you don't have to keep track of multiple officials in different chambers. It simplifies the whole process, turning a complex, often confusing maze of government into a more direct path. On top of being the only one-house legislature, Nebraska's system is also officially nonpartisan. This is a huge deal. In every other state, lawmakers are elected as Republicans or Democrats, and their party affiliation dictates everything from who gets leadership positions to how they vote on bills. In Nebraska, candidates run for office without a D or an R next to their name on the ballot. When they get to the Capitol, they don't sit on different sides of the aisle based on party. Leadership roles, like the powerful Speaker of the Legislature or the heads of committees, are decided by a secret ballot of all 49 senators. The idea is to elect leaders based on their qualifications and ability, not their party loyalty. This nonpartisan approach aims to change the very nature of lawmaking. The goal is to encourage senators to work together, to build coalitions based on the specific issue at hand, rather than just voting along party lines. It forces them to listen to their constituents, their conscience, and the arguments of their colleagues, fostering a more collaborative and less combative environment. While senators certainly have their own political beliefs, and state parties often endorse candidates, the nonpartisan structure fundamentally reshapes how power is distributed and how decisions are made. It's a system built on the belief that good ideas can come from anywhere, and that cooperation is more productive than conflict. Nebraska wasn't always this unique. When it became a state in 1867, it started out with the same two-house system as everyone else. But over time, people grew frustrated. They saw the bicameral legislature as slow, secretive, and expensive. Bills would pass in one house only to be defeated or changed beyond recognition in the other. Even worse, when the two houses couldn't agree, they would form something called a conference committee. This small group of lawmakers from both chambers would meet in secret to hammer out a compromise, often making huge changes to a bill without any public input. It was a system where accountability went to die, as each house could simply blame the other for unpopular decisions or failed legislation. The hero of our story is a man named George W. Norris, a U.S. Senator from Nebraska, who became the champion of the unicameral idea. Norris believed the two-house system was outdated and inefficient, a relic of the British Parliament with its aristocratic House of Lords and its elected House of Commons. He famously argued, "The constitutions of our various states are built upon the idea that there is but one class. If this be true, there is no sense or reason in having the same thing done twice, especially if it is to be done by two bodies of men elected in the same way and having the same jurisdiction." He saw that paying two groups of people to do the same job was a waste of taxpayer money. Norris's vision was for a government that was more like a modern business, streamlined, efficient, and transparent. He wanted a system where every action was out in the open and every lawmaker was directly accountable for their votes. He campaigned tirelessly across the state, making his case in town halls and on the radio. He argued that a single-house legislature would be more responsive to the will of the people and less susceptible to the influence of special interests and political bosses. His campaign caught fire, especially in the midst of the Great Depression, when people were desperate for a government that was both effective and frugal. In 1934, the people of Nebraska voted to amend their state constitution, officially abolishing their two-house system and creating the unicameral. The new one-house legislature met for the first time in 1937, and it has been the law of the land ever since. The change was revolutionary, transforming Nebraska's government into a model of openness and efficiency. It was a bold move that put power back into the hands of the people by making the legislative process simpler and easier to follow. Norris's experiment proved that government could be different, and for Nebraska, different has worked out pretty well. So, how does an idea for a law like, say, making the state bird the western meadowlark, which it is by the way, actually happen in the unicameral? The process is designed to be incredibly transparent and to give citizens plenty of opportunities to participate. It all starts when one of the 49 senators introduces a bill. Here's where Nebraska's system immediately stands out. Every single bill that is introduced is guaranteed a public hearing in front of a committee. This is a huge commitment to public access. In other states, a committee chair can simply decide not to schedule a hearing, effectively killing a bill in secret. In Nebraska, you, your friends, or your teachers can show up and tell lawmakers exactly what you think about a proposed law. After the public hearing, the committee votes on whether to advance the bill to the full legislature. If it moves forward, it enters the first of 3 distinct stages of debate. The first stage is called the general file. This is where all 49 senators debate the bill for the first time. They can propose amendments, ask questions, and make their arguments for or against it. To move on from this stage, the bill needs a simple majority vote. At least 25 senators must say aye. This open debate ensures that every aspect of the bill is thoroughly examined by the entire legislative body, not just a select few. If the bill passes the general file, it moves to the second stage, known as the select file. This is essentially a second chance to get it right. Senators can offer more amendments and debate the bill again. This 2-step process of debate and amendment is a critical feature, acting as an internal check and balance system. Since there isn't a second house to review the legislation, the select file ensures that bills are carefully vetted and refined before a final vote is taken. It builds in a moment for reflection and correction, which is crucial for crafting thoughtful and effective laws. Once again, it takes 25 votes to advance the bill from this stage. Finally, the bill reaches the final reading. At this point, no more amendments or debate are allowed. The bill is read in its final form, and the senators cast their last vote. If it passes, it heads to the governor's desk. The governor can sign the bill into law, veto it, or let it become law without a signature. If the governor does issue a veto, the legislature has the final say. It can override the governor's veto with a 3/5 majority vote, which means 30 of the 49 senators must agree. This entire process, from the guaranteed public hearing to the multiple rounds of debate, is designed to be deliberative, open, and accountable from start to finish. Comparing Nebraska's unicameral to the bicameral systems in other states is like comparing a straight, well-lit hallway to a winding labyrinth. The most significant advantage is transparency. With only one chamber, it is far easier for citizens, journalists, and students to track a bill's progress. There's no wondering what a mysterious Senate committee is doing or trying to figure out which version of a bill is the real one. All the action, the debates, the amendments, the votes, happens in one place out in the open. This transparency leads directly to another key benefit: accountability. Senators can't pass the buck or blame another chamber for an unpopular vote. Their record is clear, and they are solely responsible for their decisions when they face voters on Election Day. This streamlined structure also leads to incredible efficiency. In bicameral systems, a huge amount of time and energy is spent reconciling differences between the House and Senate versions of a bill. This often happens in those secretive conference committees, where a few powerful lawmakers can insert special favors or strip out popular provisions. The unicameral eliminates this entire step. The process is faster, more straightforward, and less prone to backroom deals. Furthermore, running one legislative house with 49 members is simply cheaper than operating 2 houses with, in some states, hundreds of lawmakers. It saves taxpayer money on salaries, staff, and building maintenance, proving that good government doesn't have to be expensive. Of course, no system is perfect. Critics sometimes worry that a single house could pass bad laws too quickly, without the cooling saucer of a second chamber to slow things down. However, Nebraska's 3-stage debate process, general file, select file, and final reading, is specifically designed to prevent this by building in multiple rounds of scrutiny. The nonpartisan nature of the body also encourages a more issue-focused, rather than party-focused, approach to lawmaking. Senators are freer to build unique coalitions to pass common-sense legislation, leading to more moderate and practical outcomes that reflect the needs of their communities, rather than a rigid party platform. For students and citizens, the unicameral offers a powerful lesson in civic engagement. Because every bill gets a public hearing, your voice truly matters. You can testify in person or submit written testimony on any issue you care about. Nebraskans also have the right of referendum, meaning they can gather signatures to challenge a new law and put it on the ballot for a statewide vote. The system is built on the idea that an informed and active citizenry is the backbone of democracy. Nebraska's unicameral may be an outlier, but it stands as a testament to the idea that a simpler, more open, and more accountable government is not just a fantasy, it's a reality.